All right. Get ready to dive deep, everybody, because today we're all about Merlot.
Yeah.
We got some excerpts from a book about Merlot, and let me tell you, this is not your average, here's how to drink wine kind of thing. This is in depth.
Oh, this is way more exciting than your average Merlot, that's for sure.
Yeah, and one of the things that they talk about that I thought was really interesting is they call Merlot, get this, democratic.
I love that. I love that description because it does have this reputation.
Yeah.
People think, oh, Merlot, that's a beginner wine, right?
Right.
But this book really dives into how it can be so much more.
Absolutely.
It really is accessible to everyone.
It is.
But it's got like these hidden depths waiting to be explored.
Yes. Like it's got something for everybody.
Exactly.
And it can be so much more than just, your average Tuesday night glass of wine,
So true.
Like it can really hang, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And this book dives into the history,
Yes.
which, buckle up.
The history of Merlot, I was surprised.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, like, first of all, we're going way back, right? We're
Yep.
talking 18th century France.
18th century France, Bordeaux to be exact.
Bordeaux, okay. Which makes sense. But still, when you think about it.
Well, that's where it all began. Bordeaux is the birthplace of Merlot, and I think that's part of the reason why those wines are still held in such high regard.
Right, they're like the OG.
They are the OG.
They're like the original gangsters, the OGs.
Exactly. But the history itself is so fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, you've got the book even mentions how it got its name.
Okay, well, tell me, how did it get its name? Because I was like, Merlot? I never even thought about it. It sounds French.
It does sound very French.
Yeah.
Well, there's this theory. Okay, so Merle, right, like the bird,
Okay.
blackbird.
Okay.
Apparently, they were really drawn to these grapes. They loved snacking on them. And so there you have it, Merlot.
Wow. So
Huh.
it could be named after blackbirds.
That is amazing. So the birds were like, Merlot, Merlot.
That's right. That's right. It adds certain poetry to it, doesn't it?
It does. And speaking of, humble beginnings, it's funny, Merlot started as a blender.
That's right.
It was like the sidekick.
Yeah, the Robin to Batman.
Exactly.
It was the grape that played a supporting role.
Yeah.
It was often blended with Cabernet Sauvignon.
It adds the body, right? Like
Oh,
that's always
God.
what I've heard. Exactly. Exactly. But, just like any good sidekick story, eventually it got its chance to shine in its own right.
Yes. Center stage.
Center stage.
And, I do love that it's having a moment.
It is.
And there are even some fun old names for it, right? Didn't you say something about
Oh, yeah. The book mentions these old nicknames like Merlot,
Merlot? Oh my God, I love it.
and Merle, just Merle.
Okay.
So it's just got this whole history.
Well, it makes it feel fancier than just Merlot,
It does.
Like, ooh, Merlot, like
Right. It's like swirling your glass and saying, ooh la la.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But you can't talk about wine without talking about, where it comes from.
Oh, absolutely not.
And those Bordeaux Merlot, why are they so good?
Terroir, terroir, terroir. That magical mix of soil, climate, the whole environment. That's what gives those Bordeaux Merlot their personality.
Right, and we've talked about terroir, on the show before. But the book is obsessed with this chalky soil.
Oh, it's crucial. That chalky soil, along with the mild Atlantic-influenced climate, creates this perfect little cocoon for Merlot grapes to really reach their full potential.
And it's true because there are certain regions in Bordeaux that are known for their Merlots, right?
Absolutely. And the book was particularly enthusiastic about two specific areas, Saint-Emilion and Pomerol.
Okay, I'm writing this down. Saint-Emilion and Pomerol.
Keep an eye out for those names if you really want to taste what top-tier Merlot is all about.
Okay, so I'm going to be honest. I love learning about, the soil and the grapes and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, what I really care about is
What's in the glass?
what am I tasting? How's it going to make me feel? And this book,
Sensory experience.
yes, it's a sensory experience. This book made me want to drink all the Merlot. They're talking about the aroma.
Oh, the aromas of Merlot or something else.
They described it as a basket of fresh red fruits.
That's so accurate.
Cherries, raspberries, plums. But here's where it gets crazy. Then they talk about clove, maybe even like bell pepper. And I was like, what?
It's true. It's not just your typical fruit bomb.
Right?
It's got these surprising little hints of spice that make it so intriguing.
Okay, but what about the taste? Because aroma's one thing.
So Merlot is known for having these velvety tannins.
Velvety. Now, For those who, like me, need a little reminder, what are tannins again?
Tannins are what give you that mouthfeel, the
Okay.
dryness that you feel.
Right, right.
But in Merlot, they're very approachable.
Okay.
Even if you're new to red wines, yeah,
Oh.
they're not going to overpower you.
They're not going to, like, dry your mouth out.
Not at all. They're smooth, they're elegant, they're velvety, as we said.
And one thing the book made a point to talk about was the balance.
Oh, the balance is key with Merlot.
Because it's not too heavy.
Not too heavy, not too light.
It's like Goldilocks.
It's like Goldilocks found her perfect wine.
Okay, so you got me with the aromas, the flavors.
Oh, but we haven't even gotten to the aging potential.
Oh, I love a wine that can age. Because sometimes you're like, I'm not ready to drink you yet.
Exactly, exactly. And Merlot can age beautifully.
It can.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And remember how we were talking about how it was originally used in blends?
Yes.
Well, when Merlot is aged on its own, it develops these really complex secondary notes. Leather, tobacco, even, like, think mushrooms.
Mushrooms?
Well,
Okay.
yeah,
I
I know. It sounds a little strange. But trust me, the book describes it in such a way that it just makes sense.
I'm here for it.
It really adds another dimension to the wine.
Wow. Okay, so we've got these delicious fruit flavors, we've got the tannins, but where does, like, the spice come in? Where does all that complexity come from?
Well, it all boils down to that magical word again, terroir.
Oh, there it is again.
The climate, the soil, the winemakers touch it all plays a role. Warmer regions, for example.
Yes, warmer regions.
They tend to yield riper, jammier fruit flavors.
Okay.
Think like those California Merlots. Sunshine in a bottle.
Okay, yes, I get you.
But then you have cooler climates. They lean more towards those brighter fruit notes and those lovely spice notes that we were talking about.
Okay.
And then, of course, there's oak aging, which adds a whole other layer of complexity.
Oak aging. Tell me about oak aging.
All right, so you take your Merlot, you put it in these beautiful oak barrels, and you let it just sit there and work its magic.
Like, how long are we talking?
It depends on the winemaker, of course. Some
Yeah.
do it for a few months, others for years. But the oak imparts these incredible flavors: vanilla, spice, a hint of toastiness.
Oh my God, that sounds delicious.
It really enhances those existing flavors in the Merlot.
Okay, so this has got me thinking. If we know Merlot is so adaptable, where else in the world can we find it besides Bordeaux? Because Bordeaux, obviously.
You are absolutely right. Oh,
Mm.
Merlot is everywhere. And this book takes you on a trip around the world, highlighting all the hot spots.
I love it. Passport, please. Where are we going first?
Well, no Merlot adventure is complete without a stop in Italy. And the book really highlights the super Tuscans.
Oh, the super Tuscans.
Yes, these are those amazing blends, powerful blends. And Merlot often plays a starring role.
Okay, it's like they bottled up the Italian sunshine, added a little bit of mystery.
And a whole lot of flavor.
Yes.
They really showcase what Merlot can do outside of its traditional home in Bordeaux.
Okay, so we got our Italian adventure. What's next?
Well, speaking of sunshine, we got to talk about California.
Of course, California.
The Golden State. It's got that perfect, warm, sunny climate that Merlot loves.
Yeah.
Especially in regions like Napa, Sonoma, you know those names.
Oh, yeah.
The book actually mentions this 1997 Duckhorn Merlot.
Okay.
That aged beautifully for over a decade. And it had these incredible notes of plum, cedar, and tobacco.
See, that's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of stuff I want to know. Specific recommendations. I'm putting that one on my list.
Add it to the list.
Duckhorn 97. All right. So we've got Italy, we've got California. What about some places a little more unexpected? Because the book had some surprises for me, some places I never would have thought of from Merlot.
Oh, are you ready for some surprises?
Hit me.
Okay, Chile.
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 Okay.
Chile. It's quietly becoming a Merlot powerhouse. They have such diverse valleys. Maipo and Colchagua stood out, and you can find, honestly, a whole spectrum of Merlot styles there.
Yeah.
From the bright and approachable to the more structured, age-worthy.
It really shows you how important that sense of place is, right?
Absolutely.
Like each sip is like a little postcard from that region.
A taste of place, a story in every glass. It's true. And if we venture a little further east, Argentina.
Okay, Argentina. I like it.
Their high-altitude vineyards in Mendoza.
High altitude. So we're talking about some hardcore grapes. These grapes have seen some things.
These are tough grapes. But they're producing some really exciting Merlots, and they tend to be a little more structured, elegant, age-worthy,
Okay.
a little more serious, if you will.
I like a serious Merlot.
Who doesn't?
So, okay, let me see. We've got Italy, California, Chile, Argentina. Did we miss any Merlot havens? Were there any other stops on our world tour?
Well, the book briefly touches on Australia,
Okay.
especially regions like Margaret River, Coonawarra. They have those really unique terroirs down under
They do?
that lend themselves well to Merlot. And believe it or not, even Brazil.
Brazil.
Brazil is dipping its toes into the Merlot pool.
Wow, Merlot really is a global citizen.
It really is.
This makes me want to plan a whole wine tasting trip around the world. But okay, before we get too carried away with our imaginary itineraries, we have to talk about the most important question. What are we eating with all this Merlot?
Ah, yes. Food pairing.
Yes.
It's the most important question.
And thankfully, Merlot makes it easy. It's a very food-friendly wine. It's got that balanced acidity, those moderate tannins, and all those amazing flavor profiles.
So it can really hang.
And the book, they go into some detail about pairings, and I have to admit, some of them surprised me. But let's start with the obvious, right? Red meat.
Oh, you can't go wrong with a classic. Red meat and Merlot.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets interesting. Even within that classic pairing, there's room for nuance.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So the book suggests if you're having grilled meats,
Okay.
go for a lighter-bodied Merlot,
Okay.
something with those bright, juicy red fruit notes.
So I'm picturing like juicy burgers.
Yes.
Perfectly grilled steaks.
Absolutely.
Maybe some lamb chops with a little char.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm already there.
Yeah.
That little touch of smokiness to complement those brighter notes in the wine.
Okay. Okay, so we're grilling lighter-bodied Merlot.
Yes.
What if we're staying and we're doing like a big old roast?
Oh, a roast. So you're thinking like a prime rib.
A prime rib.
Beautiful.
Or like a slow roasted duck with that crispy skin.
Oh, my goodness.
Something really decadent.
In that case, you want to reach for a bolder, more oak-aged Merlot.
Okay.
Something with a little bit more structure and those toasty, savory notes to stand up to those richer flavors.
Okay, so we got to match the intensity, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, this is already blowing my mind. I'm learning so much. And you know what else surprised me?
What's that?
Merlot with ragu.
Oh, yeah.
That was a curveball in the book.
It's delicious.
Really? Okay, I have to try it because I love a good ragu.
Merlot can handle a wider range of foods than people give it credit for, and that acidity cuts through the richness of a good ragu beautifully.
Noted. Pasta night just got an upgrade.
There you go.
Okay. Okay, and speaking of unexpected pairings, the book also talked about cheese.
Oh, cheese and Merlot, another match made in heaven.
Tell me everything.
The book specifically calls out semi-hard cheeses, like Brie and Gruyere, as being particularly delicious with Merlot. They use the word luscious to describe how those creamy cheeses interact with Merlot's fruitiness.
Okay, now you're speaking my language. I'm already imagining like a cheese board piled high with brie, some Gruyere, a nice glass of Merlot on the side.
It's the perfect evening.
It really is. The saltiness of the cheese, that fruitiness of the wine, it just makes sense.
You've got it. And the saltiness actually enhances those fruit flavors. And the acidity in the Merlot cuts through the richness of the cheese. Again, it's all about balance.
Balance, balance, balance.
Yeah.
Are you ready for a real curveball, though?
Okay, hit me.
Yeah.
Because they had a really unexpected pairing in here that I was like, what?
Grilled vegetables.
What grilled
Yeah.
vegetables and Merlot? Okay, I'm listening. Tell me more.
I know, right? Sounds a little out there, but they were talking about like grilled bell peppers, zucchini, eggplant, all those like smoky, savory flavors.
Yes.
They can really sing with a nice, fruit-forward Merlot.
Okay.
It's a nice kind of lighter take on the pairing.
I love it. It's unexpected.
Exactly.
Just like Merlot itself. Which, speaking of, we're learning so much about how it's made, where it's from, but what about the future of Merlot, you know? We talk a lot about sustainability on this show.
Right. And the book does touch on that.
Okay.
There's definitely a big movement towards organic and biodynamic farming in the vineyards.
Yeah. Consumers are really starting to care more about where their wine comes from and how it's made.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. And, we can't talk about the future without talking about climate change.
Yeah, that's the big one, right?
That's the big one. And it's definitely having an impact on winemaking. The book actually mentioned some wineries in California that are, they're experimenting with drought-resistant rootstocks,
Oh, wow.
different irrigation techniques,
Yeah.
all to combat those challenges of a changing climate.
That's really heartening to hear, honestly.
It is.
Because it would be a shame to lose Merlot,
Oh, absolutely.
It would be a real tragedy. But okay, so they're doing all this stuff with, how the grapes are grown. Is it changing the taste?
That is the million-dollar question.
Right.
And it's tough to say for sure. Some experts think that we might start to see lighter-bodied Merlots with a little more emphasis on that freshness
Oh,
as the climate warms and grapes ripen faster.
interesting.
But then you've got other winemakers who are, they're determined to preserve those classic Merlot characteristics.
Yeah.
So they're experimenting with different vineyard sites,
Mhm.
different altitudes, different grape varieties.
So it's like this ongoing experiment to save Merlot.
It is.
Wow. Well, I, for one, am rooting for Merlot.
I think we all are.
I'm very glad that we did this deep dive. I feel like I learned so much.
Me too. Merlot is truly full of surprises.
It is. And it's not just a basic wine, clearly.
Oh, absolutely not. It's got depth, it's got history, it's got a certain je ne sais quoi. It can be approachable, but also complex. It's food friendly. It's a really amazing wine.
Well said. Well said. So to everyone listening out there, whether you're, a Merlot master or you're just dipping your toes into the world of reds,
Yeah.
go out there, try some Merlots, and be open to the possibilities.
Yes.
And you know what? Here's your homework. Blind taste test.
Ooh, I love it.
Get some Merlots from different regions. See if you can taste the difference.
That's a great idea.
See if you can taste those different regions.
A delicious way to deepen your appreciation for Merlot.
Cheers to that.
Mm.
And until next time, happy exploring, everybody.